There we go.
Yeah, cat hood is the best helmet in the game that nobody can ever wear. You'll always see it in shops and be tempted to buy it, and then see that nobody in your party can actually equip it. Even with the vanilla flags, or even with the normal Worlds Collide flags that we use, there is still a chance that people can equip stuff they can't normally. But it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, one of the big features of Cat Hood is the ability to get double the GP drops. So you'll get additional money for every fight whenever you have Cat Hood equipped. So that's a good little boost, as well as finding looks like South Figaro Cave. So knowing where that is with lock is a big benefit as well.
We are slowly working our way through everything we need to know.
Yeah, I'm curious, Glue. Is your plan to just go through everything in the World of Balance before you switch over to World of Ruin?
Yep. That's what I was looking for right here. Is I was just gonna keep going until I could find this, and then go from there. And now that I
Fantastic.
have pretty much unearthed this half of the world, I'm probably gonna go ahead and keep going until I find Zen and buy the Zen Thief, whatever it is or isn't, and then go back to Opera and or Magitech Factory and see what path that sends me on.
Yeah, so we like finding South Figaro because it has a lot of chests. It has the same amount of shops as most places. And it also has one of Celeste's free checks that you don't need to do any fights for. We also. Oh, and there's a fixed dice, which is another potentially useful piece of equipment.
I take it
Yeah,
all back.
special.
The elixirs can go. We don't need them anymore.
Yeah, in a seed like this, Doom's Rage, if you can get a little bit of power to help you early on, it's definitely a huge benefit because with a two-character start, you actually have lower scaling than normal as you start. So only two characters, you're only basically taking what level 5 basically scaling because it's 2.5 per character per Esper. So having fixed dice actually is a little bit more powerful in this flag set because scaling is a little bit lower. And you can take advantage of that when you get started with the sieger.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about World Collide is, you may think that it's better to take on bosses when scaling is lower and you have enemies with lower HP. Um, but you also get less experience, both from boss fights and any random encounters or fixed encounters you get. So runners typically want the scaling to get up a little bit so that we can make the most of the fights that we get. You don't want it to get too out of control, but Kefka's Tower, the final boss, is scaled to, I don't know if it's level 40 for this seed, um, but it has fixed scaling instead of being scaled to whatever you're at, so it's going to be as hard as it is, um, no matter what you've come in with.
Yeah, this flag set is level 50 cap scaling, so that will be one thing just to be aware of here is when you get into Final Kefka, some of the bosses are going to be pretty beefy here because the scaling goes all the way up to level 50. So part of the run here is going to be looking for the offense that gets you past those checks,
Mm-hmm.
being able to take the statue fights.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's uh, the statues in their vanilla locations.
Correct. They
They're shuffled in the vanilla locations.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, Glue, stole your thunder there.
Oh no, I'm about to go steal another pair of fixed dice because there was a Genji glove in one of these as well.
Yeah, fixed dice is extremely powerful, especially early on where you know you might not have something that kind of gets you through the seed otherwise. You can ignore defense. You can also avoid a few pretty difficult bosses just by having fixed dice.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of fixed dice haters out there because of how slow the animation can be, but if it's killing the enemy, it's killing the enemy.
Yeah, it might not always be the fastest way through the seed, but it is an option, and if that's what you have, then it's always worth using what you have.
Yeah, I mean, we've got fixed dice, Genji glove offerings on the table, so Blue could be wasting a lot of time throwing dice and gambling if we decide to.
Don't tell Boo that we're doing it.
I would actually appreciate if everybody would go ping him right now what we are doing with the fixed dice.
I mean, I'm sure that he'll be thrilled.
There was also snipers there, but the fixed dice caught my eye. We're gonna stick with the fixed dice, go get an offering, and see where the rest of this goes.
Yeah, Sniper is a bit of that. It's sort of like a generic brand cereal kind of weapon. It can get you through some hard encounters if you don't find anything better, but you would like to find something better.
So swinging back to Nakia here, presumably for the offering.
Little of the offering, little of the true knight.
We do have those ice shields as well.
Shit, I don't think we're gonna be able to get there. That's
Yeah,
alright.
you might need one or two more things here.
The offering lets the user attack 4 times with their physical fight command. It normally lowers the damage per swing slightly, but because of the way the fixed dice works, you're just getting, I believe it's just 4 full strength throws.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, the other layer on top of that here is going to be also having the Genji glove. So it's 2 attacks times 4, so another 8 turns, you know, of dice. Which again probably takes a little bit of time to go do, but in the end it's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of rolls, so it might be to the benefit in the end.
It looks like now we're going to start to get some action. We've got the Opera House. So there will be a boss at the end of this after we go through the rafters. And there are these mice going around the rafters, which will probably not be mice when we actually run into them.
Yeah, one of the elements of Worlds Collide is that all the enemies will also be randomized. So as you go through, you'll see some enemies in different locations compared to where you'd expect to see them. So, you know, when we go through the rafters here, you'll see a mix of enemies that may or may not see otherwise in the game, and that might add some, might be to our benefit or might be more of a challenge. We'll see.
Yeah, ordinarily the nice thing about this check is you'll get experience from these fights. So you'll be a little bit more prepared for the boss at the end, especially if it's one of the first checks. But it can also be a little bit risky if you don't get much out of these encounters, or if you spend a bunch of time on the encounters and then the boss just ends up wiping the floor with you.
Yeah, one of the big things right now is to get out of what I would call level 3 jail. So if you can get off of level 3, that gives you at least a little bit more power and a little bit of flexibility to get through the enemies here. And just one thing to point out too is Locke has the fire rod equipped, so it actually procced a fire 2 spell, which is a nice little way to use a rod early on, is to allow it to basically cast the magic for you. There's a 25% chance, I believe, of that happening, so it's a good way to kind of start a seed off if you don't have a lot of power up front.
Yeah, and if you end up wanting to crack that rod, which you can use it as an item to cast the level 2 spell, all you have to do is just unequip it from the item menu in fight. And here we're going to see a rod getting cracked. We got a thunder rod.
Yeah, that otherwise that fight would have taken quite a while just to take 6 different enemies out. So definitely the quickest way through that fight to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And here we're getting rid of that fire rod. Doing the same thing. We don't want to roll 12 dice, it would be.
Everything must go.
Yeah, to the advantage of getting a decent amount of experience from those 2 fights. The bug encounter, even though it's kind of a low-level encounter individually, but with all those, with all 6 of them together, it actually gives quite a bit of experience. So to be able to do that and do that quickly is definitely a good starting encounter to go take.
Yeah. And seeing that both characters' levels are 10, the funniest possible thing that we could fight here would be Doomgaze, which opens the fight with level 5 magic, which kills your party if they're multiple of 5. So let's see what we get.
All right.
Not Doomgaze, but not our favorite fight to see.
I don't know if you roll dice like that. I don't know if it matters.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Celeste might have been at the casino recently or something. That was pretty impressive.
And we can see with the scaling where it's at, these things just go down so fast.
Yeah, this actually worked out really well, especially with doing that much damage.
And we've got Edgar. So we're finally up to 3 characters, which is gonna be nice and comfy for glue. And with an incredibly low magic stat on that Edgar.
Yeah, when we started the seed, there was a penalty to magic that's kind of built in. So that's part of the story of just being kind of ready for the Doom's Rage flag set. You'll have higher strength, but you'll have lower magic, and it's kind of that way by design, because the intention is for you to use kind of your physical strength, because Doom's kind of crafted as a physical strength member of the Triad.
Yeah, the way the stat scaling goes in Final Fantasy VI in general is magic is very strong, especially early, and physical tends to be stronger later. So often you'll see runners going for a lot of magic-based offenses in the early half of the game and even into the end game. So this kind of forces us to figure out what else we can use to get through some of these bosses.
It looks like we're stepping into Vector here to see what's at Magitech Factory. I guess as we're going through this glue, is there anything in particular that you're looking for, or kind of what's your thoughts on the approach right now?
I really hope there's not a Doomgaze or Magimaster down here. Otherwise, I'm fine. But just in case, I'm going to take 2 or 3 of these fights, see what's cooking down here. I did spread out the fixed dice just as a... in case of uh-ohs. We'll give it an uh-oh or 2 down here. We are a little bit covered in the DPS because everything right now is only level, I think, 10. So really there's very few things that will have over 3,000 HP at this point. So just a fortunate roll can end just about any fight. But still, just as a just in case, that won't be the case on the back half of the Magitech Factory. So these few levels will go a long way as far as protecting me.
Yeah, and we do have Warp available in case we run into anything that we can't possibly get through. But we'd still rather not spend the time coming all the way back here. Especially considering the first couple of checks can award espers, but not characters. And the characters are what we need to get access to additional checks.
And so as he progresses through, I think right now it's dropping down to where the Shiva and Ifrit fight would be in the vanilla game. So the hope here is that down here is a relatively friendly boss that just you can kind of work your way through and then get into the second half of the Magitech Factory.
Blue, were you about to say something?
The little cool thing about the Magitech Factory is there's like four different technically, some people call them biomes, but various spots where you can have different encounters. So those first two weren't very good, but as you saw, the crawlers down here were different than what we were seeing earlier. So it's kind of low key one of those spots that you could get some decent grinds in if you search hard enough.
Yeah, there's nothing more unfortunate than having a plan for grinding some random encounters, and then the random encounters you get don't give any experience, or are just an absolute pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's certainly something where with lower scaling right now, like he's okay to an extent, no matter what here, but as it gets later in the game and the enemies get tougher, it definitely could get out of control pretty quickly. And this is not a very friendly boss fight here.
So I got the cursor on Revivifies just in case. We'll save those precious seconds somehow.
And I always mix them up. Is it the ogres that can be revivified, or is that the orogs?
I believe it's the orogs that are revivifiable.
Poor Edgar is getting the smackdown here. We got stopped, and then we got turned into a zombie.
Yeah, this is so part of the randomizer is to change the martial encounter. I think when you do the martial encounter, it's a actually I don't even remember what the vanilla one is at this point, but
Lobos.
it's a relatively is it Lobos?
Lobos, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean it's a relatively simple encounter in vanilla, but in the randomizer they actually changed it to have there's I think 5 or 6 different encounter types that you can have. One of the ruder ones we'll say is the ogre fight, where they can zombie your whole party, and they can take 2 turns at a time, so they could get 4 turns off, worst case. So it could be a very scary fight.
We did not get an Esper from that check, but we did get an Atma weapon, which is great in a strength-based seed like this. And especially with offerings available for sale.
Yeah, having a Atma weapon early, especially with offerings available, will be it's a big benefit definitely towards the end game. One of the flags in Worlds Collide is to increase the power of Atma weapons. So usually Atma weapon really starts taking off at level 64. In Worlds Collide, it's been adjusted such that you start gaining a little bit more power after level 32 with Atma weapons. So it's something that when that flag is on, which is in this case, it's actually a big benefit to get it early on and equip it. And once you get into late 20s, early 30s, you really start seeing the damage take off with Atma weapon. So that's a really good find.
This is actually a fortunate fight because he drops a peace ring, and eventually here shortly I'm going to switch to the World of Ruin and do kind of everything we did in this world, and that just puts Curse Shield on the table. It's one of those might as well type things in this type of flag set. So now that gives me another great piece of equipment I can have later on.
Yeah, we normally think about using the ribbon for that curse shield because it prevents all statuses. But the peace ring, I believe, blocks the most important ones. Is it Muddle and Berserk?
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And that Paladin shield is huge because it's the perfect piece of equipment for the shuffle statues later on. It will essentially neutralize almost all of Goddess, most of Poltergeist, and the first half of the Doom fight. Whereas those are also going to be the scariest fights in the game, but now with that Paladin shield, I'm probably going to think nothing of them with with the offering setup in that paladin shield going forward.
Yeah, especially considering you can shuffle gear from party to party for that climb, so you can make sure the paladin shield is equipped on someone in each of your parties.
Yeah, that's it's a good strategy to use is to shuffle your equipment whenever you maybe have a weaker team. If you can shuffle your equipment and kind of give yourself an advantage, it's definitely to your benefit to be able to do that.
Absolutely, especially in a flag set like this, where those 3 statue encounters are going to be the statues. In typical Worlds Collide seeds, they are randomized just like any other boss encounter, so they could be, some underhanded throws from Kefka where you've just got, Marshall and some Lobos or an Ultras fight, but in this one, it's always going to be the statues. And statues with split parties are in many ways more threatening than the final boss itself.
Yeah, there's have certainly been people that have said that the real boss of any of the Warring Triad flag sets, which this is one of them, Doom's Rage, has been getting through the statue fights. Once you get through the statue fights, usually Kefka is a little bit easier. So we'll see how that plays out here, but I think it's definitely something to start planning for now in terms of how you're going to get through those fights.
One nice thing about this flag set with the increased vigor stat, the strength stat that we got at the beginning, is your earlier offense can be a lot more like your later offense. Because normally you'll be using a lot of magic-based strats in the beginning and kind of pivoting to a little bit more strength in the end game when it scales up better. But we can take advantage of some of that strength now with that vigor boost. Or we can just throw dice around.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, that's where it was such a good find to find the fixed dice earlier. Is that it does kind of open the door for not having to think as much about your gear situation, because you automatically have a way to ignore defense and also a good chance to really do a lot of damage to any enemies that you're fighting.
Yeah, that
And this is... Go ahead, go.
that Rain Man fight is a little scary. Rain Man are a ticking time bomb. Don't ever disrespect the Rain Man, or else you might learn a lesson the hard way one day.
I'm not sure I've ever encountered them in Worlds Collide.
Yeah, they they sneak up on you sometimes, and then they end up pulling out maybe a Bolt 3 or a Flash Rain when you're least expecting it, and they can cause a little bit of chaos. So, something to Glue's point, definitely something that you want to be a little bit careful about. Very good Rexel fight there. Again, kind of showing off the value of the fixed dice. Rexel has an extremely high defense, so magic defense. So the best way to actually get through that fight is to use physical offense, but fixed dice ignores all of that, and that's a very fast fight there.
Yeah, and we're also very happy to have not been able to afford that offering, because the offering you don't get to choose who the 4 hits go onto, and you really don't want to throw anything at the little mini Rexels, which just wastes a lot of time. And in the time I was talking about the last fight, we've already finished this one. So all in all, this was a pretty friendly Magitech facility.
Yeah, it actually worked out really well, and several Espers and the Atma weapon, so definitely a leg up for the second, or moving forward here in the suit.
Yeah, and all of the experience from the entire facility is going to pay dividends. You generally want to get, if you're going to have to spend some time getting levels anywhere, you want to do it earlier in the seed, so you're kind of riding the wave.
So it looks like Glue's considering South Figaro Cave, which with lock in hand is a one of the checks that he could be doing.
Yeah, it's another quick one. It has a spot where you can heal in it. It has a couple of chests.
Alright, little money update. We have enough for 1 offering, and we just need enough for 3 more some way, somehow.
3 more. 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 3
We did that cat hood.
Yeah, that's the advantage of the cat hood is that with the double drop of money, then it's a lot easier to accrue any gold that you might need.
And speaking of getting some softball bosses, we've got another pretty easy one.
Yeah, leader is especially lower scaling, not that much of a risk. He definitely gains some strength at the end game. You might catch him, yeah, with the axe counter that he does, where he hits you for more than you would expect. But in this case, it's not really a threat, and you see Glue just move forward and make quick work of him.
And we picked up the Siren Esper, which is capable of silencing, which is something that is going to come in handy in the final Kefka fight. So in addition to all of the offense options that we're looking for, there are a couple of Espers like Golem, Fenrir, Siren, Phantom that we do like to see for that final fight.
Yeah, and each one of them has an ability that would be helpful for getting through the final fight, whether it's being able to cast insta death in the case of maybe an Odin or a Raiden, or being able to block a defensive spell such as Golem to block any physical attacks that are coming in. So those are some of the things that Glue's going to be looking for here as he progresses, just to see if he can find anything that will kind of set him up for the final battle that's to come.
Alright, well, so long offering money.
And did we never find the World of Balance, son?
We did not, and then rather than play the peekaboo game with, I think there's about 10 other places I could check, I'll just go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, I don't know if... I guess we call that a free check because you don't need to fight anything for it, but you do have to pay money, and he certainly made sure that we paid a lot of money for that. So probably the most expensive free check. Ooh, but we've got a strength +2 on that Siren, which is going to make the strength scaling even better.
Yeah, that's a very good find because especially in this case where you're eventually going to be looking for potentially that Atma weapon to go on a character. You basically want to set up the strength esper on that same character to kind of help set everything up for the future, do extra damage whenever the Atma weapon does kind of come into its own in the second half of the game here.
A little bittersweet finding such a strong level up boost after doing a bunch of encounters, but there will still be plenty of levels to gain from here.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Glue makes it into at least the early 40s, if not the 50s, depending on whether he maybe finds an experience egg or some other checks that he might run into as he goes. So yeah, don't be surprised if he has quite a few levels to gain, and equipping the Strength Esper now is definitely going to be to his benefit.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to remember the Phoenix Cave, which is one of Locke's checks. That's in its vanilla spot. It's not randomized in the map rando.
No, that is correct. There's a few spots that we don't touch just for the simplicity of it. And Phoenix Cave, I think, is one of them. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure you're correct on that.
Well, if you try to land there, we'll find out real quick. And we do see offering for sale again.
I feel like they really want you to take it here. Looks like you're pretty interested as well.
Well, they were a little overproduced in this seed, so they gotta, sell them at discount. Not much of a discount, but we're gonna take a tough decision here. So, black belt.
And I'm sure our next stop is going to end up being South Figaro town, which is also going to be selling offerings, and then Glue is going to be kicking himself spending all that money when he could have gotten the Edgar discount.
Yeah, that's one of the features of the vanilla game that kind of carry through and are pretty important in the randomizer is Uh, Edgar gets a discount in South Figaro, so whenever you're looking for certain items or certain equipment, it's usually worth a try of looking at South Figaro World of Ruin when you have Edgar as your party lead, because you can get the discount from that.
But considering Glue seems to want up to 3 offerings, um, I'm sure he'd still be happy to find that.
And Yahtzee, this is what we were hoping for.
So this is South Figaro Cave in the World of Ruin, which will lead to a few of Edgar's checks. We'll get the engine room check, which can also lead into the throne room check, and ancient castle if we want to do that.
So this will definitely get very interesting with Edgar quickly here. With Genji Glove and Offering, you will see 8 dice rolls for each of his attacking turns. So definitely Edgar will have a large capacity for doing damage, but it'll take 20 seconds for every time he does the fight command. So a bit of a trade-off relative to speed, but it'll be a very, a lot of damage quickly, which will be to Glue's benefit here, especially if he runs into a difficult encounter.
So it's hard to imagine anything being difficult enough to not fall to the power of that.
Yeah, some of the more dangerous things to run into with offering fixed dice are really bosses that have multiple targetable locations. Rexel is one of the least favorite for anyone that's used the offering, just because of the problems that you can run into with the targeting of the 2 smaller flames in front of Rexel. So in this situation, with that being already out of the way, it's even more to Glue's advantage to kind of go all in on the Genji Love offering with the fixed dice.
And this is probably not a fight where we will be wanting to use that, because the piranhas are going to keep respawning until after a certain amount of time has passed. This first throw is probably fine, because we're probably not going to hit that time on the first one, but we may not want to be spending the time to do 8 throws every round of piranhas.
Yeah, the Worlds Collide randomizer basically seeds in a time for this battle. I think in vanilla it's about 55 seconds, but in Worlds Collide it could be anywhere from 5 to 55 seconds. In this case, that was a relatively quick battle. So instead of it being, say, 55 seconds, it was probably 10 to 15 seconds. So definitely good, quick Piranha and Rhizopus fight here.
I mean, we've seen a lot of pretty friendly bosses so far, Rexol probably being the worst one. It's nice for the early game not having too much to stress about, but it does mean that those are still in the pool when the scaling gets higher.
I think that's also a byproduct of shuffle statues. 3 of the toughest bosses in the game I won't run into for quite a while. And that also allows you a little freedom to be aggressive down here in the underworld, if you will, knowing that the pool of bosses that can give you trouble is pretty much cut in half.
Ooh, and there's another Atma weapon.
Another really good find. With a Genji Glove already available, offerings, Locke, Celeste, and Edgar are all natural wares of the Atma weapon, so a lot of options based on just the availability of a couple Atma weapons here. So definitely a really strong start in terms of weapons.
Yeah, this is a nice party to be starting with, because you know that a lot of the highest value offensive items like Atma weapon, VK, the Illuminas and Ragnaroks are going to be equipable by at least somebody. There's nothing worse than finding all the best equipment in the game and not having anyone to put it on. Speaking of, there's a Ragnarok.
Guess the offense is everywhere. It definitely is a at this part of the game, especially in Doom's Rage, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility where you find more offense than you can use, and you just have to basically decide on a path and kind of move forward, because The game will just continue to give you more offense. All the high item checks, so all the dragons and any high items that are mixed into the normal pool that aren't characters or espers are also going to be, Illuminas, Ragnaroks, Atma weapons, Pearl lances, etc. So, right now, you're going to start seeing a lot of extra, big tier items, high tier items come up that Gloom may not even find a spot for because he's going to have his path already decided on.
We'll find a spot for him, my friend.
Challenge accepted.
Now, with that second Atma weapon, eventually I will transition Edgar away from the fixed dice. Probably around like level 30ish would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, I'm guessing we have the strength +2 on him.
We have it on lock currently, and he has the speed Esper. I do have one more Esper I need to check, and we're gonna fingers crossed that I'm not gonna be greedy. I'm just gonna take a strength +1 Esper for the Esper I found, and we'll put that on Celeste with her Gauntlet Ragnarok.
Yeah, Gauntlet is a extremely good relic to find whenever you have Illumina or Ragnarok, because it doubles the battle power of that weapon, which in the math that calculates how much damage you do, just causes a very large increase in how much damage output you have from that character. So a lot of times you're looking for levels and vigor with your characters when they're doing physical damage. In this case, levels are going to get taken care of by just the scaling and all the experience that comes out of the scaling as he progresses through the seed. But then having the other abilities and some other relics to be able to help that is definitely going to kind of show itself towards the end of the seed here, where you'll see a lot of damage be put out very quickly.
Yeah, and the Ragnarok and Illumina are also great candidates for the Gauntlet because they give so much defensively for stats, so you don't feel the restriction of the lack of shield that Gauntlet gives quite as much. I mean, a lot of people will even say that Illumina is the best shield in the game. Oh, and we've got a Yeti, a glue staple.
I don't think it gets more exciting than this. Yeti and a glue seed.
It's only a matter of what he can wear, my friend, because he's getting it all. Alright, he gets the Ragnarok, it looks like.
Yeah, for anybody who is not intimately familiar with our runner Drinks Glue, Drinks Glue is probably the biggest fan of Umaro that exists anywhere on the planet, honestly. I'm assuming that you are the record holder for solo Umaro randomizer.
Various Umaro accomplishments. I am also the founder of the Save the Umaro Foundation. We are launching in 2025. Our mission is to keep Umaros and parties everywhere, and we look forward to launching our campaign next year.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's the goal that I think needs to be spread around the community the most. I think Umaro gets a bad rap sometimes with some of the, let's say, shenanigans that may occur whenever he targets the wrong enemy and causes a counter, unfortunately. But also he's the highest strength character in the seed, so just the Umaro right now probably has upwards of 70 or 80 strength, if I'm not mistaken, with this flag set. So it's going to be a lot of damage that comes from Umaro here.
Yeah, that Gauntlet alone, because Body Slam is based off the battle power of the weapon he has equipped, that Body Slam alone will be very powerful in itself.
Speaking of very powerful, I believe that quad dice roll, or octuple dice roll, probably killed that dragon 5 times over.
Just needed to make sure.
We've got another Ragnarok.
Yeah, so I think we didn't get to mention this previously, but now that he's completed as many checks as he has, Glue is going to have all of his characters with an auto reflect status as he takes any fights from here on out. So it'll cause a little bit of, he'll have to be careful of how he approaches some of the fights, especially if he gets a fight where he can't heal as a result of having the auto reflect status on.
Yeah, and with Atma weapon damage scaling based on a percentage of your current health, we definitely want the ability to heal. We do have items, but it throws away some of the easier options like Cure 3.
Yeah, it definitely increases the value of certain kind of non-traditional healing, such as Mantra, the Blitz, that allows you to heal, as well as Pearlwind lore. And Katana Soul here is a very nice find, especially to save a little bit of money on offerings.
Yeah, not only are you getting an offering for this, but you're getting enough money for another offering. And for anyone who was wondering why Glue was doing Monster in a Box encounters, this is exactly why.
Yeah, it's actually a good twist of RNG here to actually find Katana Soul. There are 11 Monster in a Boxes in the game, so to be able to find that after only checking a couple is definitely a kind of a nice little gain. And 131,000, I think Glue has enough money to do whatever he'd like at this point. That's a very sizable gain.
Yeah, if Glue were to skip trying to save the world and just wanted to gamble it all away, I would not blame him.
I would suspect he'd probably build a very nice house for Umaro with that much money.
I'd at least buy him a new rug.
I mean, honestly,
has a few stains on it.
I assume a lot of stuff in Umaro's life has stains, mostly blood stains. But knowing Glue could probably just have Umaro save the world, and then everyone else can just relax in the airship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the role that Umaro is suited for the most, is to be the hero of the World's Collide community.
You know what? What a happy find.
Yeah, this is an extremely good find. So a few options here: Flame Shield, Mirage Vest, a few things that could be a big benefit, especially with some of the changes with the statues coming up and some of the harder fights. Having a few things with certain immunities or being able to negate damage is definitely a benefit.
Yeah, not being able to control your characters in the Coliseum is totally mitigated by Umaro, who you can't control anyway, and only knows fight.
Yeah, Umaro is definitely the one of the best characters that you could expect to find here. So, or to expect to use for this fight.
A fun fact about
Also,
Umaro and the Coliseum is that if you have a Rage Ring on him, if he doesn't have anyone to push, it just bumps up his chances of doing Body Slam. So Body Slam obviously ignores defense, so Body Slam, Rage Ring Umaro is actually probably the best possible setup you can have for the Coliseum.
Yeah, if you have another character go in, they do have the chance of using some of their abilities, and some of those abilities get in the way more so than actually help you. So having Umaro just do body slams is kind of the quickest way to get through a Coliseum fight, and kind of the most predictable way to get through it.
And we found World of Ruin Opera House, which isn't a character check, but it will give us another dragon fight.
It would be rude to say no.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I did a run of Worlds Collide where I did not do this Opera Dragon deck. It's so quick, and dragons give you such a nice boost of power. You know, if the seed is just handing it to you, you might as well.
Yeah,
And
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Glue, one nice thing about finding Umaro this early is we get to hear every possible Umaro fact you can provide for us.
Let's go with the little maybe less known one that Umaro actually has the second highest magic stat in Final Fantasy VI. Save for Wolf's Cry where we shuffle some stats around, but second highest magic stat.
Which actually comes in as a factor if he ever uses the Blizzard Orb, because Umaro can actually cast Storm using the Blizzard Orb, which that in combination with the Earring could be quite a powerful move. I'd say if, someone that might not have an offense that would work otherwise.
Speaking of offense, we got Illumina. We're going to see if we can put it on our Yeti, which we can. And can Yeti proc the Illumina and Ragnarok procs?
He can.
He can?
He just doesn't get the criticals because he can't equip an Esper, but he can equip.
So that's another thing with the nice thing with having the high base magic stat that Umaro has is those procs will scale based on magic.
Yeah, the base strength of Umaro kind of makes up and negates a little bit of the penalty that you get when you're not able to do MP crits with Ragnarok or Illumina already. But then also his magic stat being high is definitely a benefit as well. So, question in the chat here: does that mean that Gogo cannot get criticals on Ragnarok and Illumina?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, yes, that's what I was gonna say. Is that's part of the challenge with Gogo, and why you don't see him in a physical attacking role very often is because he wouldn't be able to do that either.
Oh hey.
So we got a bunch more easy checks in World of Ruin. Treasure chests, I mean, in World of Ruin here, as well as often access to half-off shops with Edgar. Not that Glue is going to be starving for money. And is that Rage Ring going on our Yeti?
Yes, indeed, my friend.
And what does that Rage Ring do for our Yeti?
It allows Umaro to replace the body slam with friendly body slam, so he will start doing his little animation where he pushes various characters into other things. Super cool. If you've never had it done to you in real life, I highly recommend it. If you have a bad elbow or something, I may not recommend doing so, but if you are in good health and willing to risk it, go for it.
Well, my hope is that we get Umaro in the goddess fight, so we can see that across the screen throw.
Always a fan favorite.
And this was a fairly decent set of shops. We got those ice shields for half off.
Yeah, elixirs and ice shields half off. Definitely a nice little amount of loot there. Again, that's kind of the benefit of having Edgar as the leader of the party, is getting the half-price shops in South Figaro.
I would say I was pretty comfortable up until South Figaro, but I'm at that point now where when I find Sabin, I'm going to have a hard time backtracking and remember everything was, because it's all starting to blur together. But the good news is that's future Glue's problems and not current Glue's problems.
Do you want us to hide all of that privileged information from you?
Please and thank you.
That's perfect, because I've also forgotten.
Yeah, it gets easier if we don't have to remember, because there's a lot to keep track of, honestly, in the map rando. My quick math before we did this, before we started, there's more than 50 entrances in the game. So just trying to keep track of all of those is definitely a challenge. There's a lot of different entrances, a lot of different places to go, and it kind of shows off the breadth of the Final Fantasy VI story with all the different locations and tied to each character. So definitely something where trying to keep track of that in the context of a randomizer, a map randomizer like this, is definitely a bit of a challenge.
This is a fantastic spot to find. Normally with a lock start, this would be one of the first places you'd want to go to. You've got that weapon salesman that we just checked who can give you either an item or possibly an esper. And we've also got, it looks like we're skipping the cursed shield.
Oh no, with all of those flame shields and ice shields now in tow, we're not even gonna bother.
Yeah. We've also got a dragon up here, the Tritok location fight, and an Umaro check that we can get.
Yeah, a lot of check density here, especially with this party with both Loki and Umaro in hand. I think it's a representation of kind of Glue's confidence in his offense at this point that he's deciding to just proceed without the curse shield. I think he feels pretty good with what he's got now. Some of the shops with the Aegis shields, ice shields, etc., to make sure that he's good here.
And the Ice Dragon having, I believe, the lowest or one of the lowest HP totals of all of the dragons. Not surprised we're just letting Umaro get a few hits in instead of spending the next 2 minutes doing 8 dice rolls.
Yeah, at this point, basically it's up to Glue's kind of decision of how he wants to approach these fights, because he can pretty much guarantee that he wins any fight with just Edgar, but he can also do some of the fights a little bit quicker by opting to use Illumina or Ragnarok or Atma Weapon, some of the other attacks from the folks on his team. So he's just making a decision based on how he thinks he can best optimize each fight, how he's going to approach it. He may find certain fights are going to be a little bit more challenging, and when he does, I think that's when you'll see the dice again.
Yeah, dice are this kind of weird thing where I find they're really strong early, and the time saved from the amount of damage they can do offsets the amount of time they take to throw. And then as you start getting options that are a little bit faster but do similar damage, you start to really feel how long they take to, get all of their attacks off. And then end game, you don't use them as much, but they can be really handy in the final tower when you have to split everybody up from one party to another.
Yeah, in this case in particular, with the statues being shuffled, sometimes having fixed dice in your back pocket kind of helps negate maybe a potential challenge from a fight like maybe Poltergeist or Goddess, who has been known to end a run here or there, especially at level 50. And mostly that's because of their special abilities and some of the challenges that they present in terms of the damage that they do or the types of abilities that they have.
And Glue, what are you hunting for in these Monster Hunter boxes?
The Gigantos. The experience is really mainly the only thing I need there. There's no item left that I need. I already have the Katana Soul / offering, but it's just a nice little experience boost from the Gigantos.
Is that something that you do in most flag sets, or just this in particular? Because yours is strength focused.
Mainly because A, we're strength focused, and B, it's just the hardest part of the seed is still ahead, and that's those shuffle statues. Even with all of this offense so far, it's not guaranteed that is a sure thing that we're able to make it through that 100%. So.
Yeah, just to make mention of it, right now, Glue's scaling is at 37.5, if my math is correct. So most of his characters are in the 30s or low 30s. So yeah, he's starting to get a gap there where he's falling a little bit behind the scaling of the bosses that he's fighting. Now with his offense, I don't think that's going to be a huge issue up until he gets to Kefka's Tower, but certainly there are going to be situations here in the future where the extra experience would definitely be of benefit.
Oh no.
I mean, you can see all this offense and damage that Glue put out, and it's only just now that Fumbaba goes down. Granted, this is one of the beefier enemies in the game, but you can't underestimate that scaling.
Yeah, at this scaling, I mean, Fumbaba probably has north of 30,000 HP, so that's a lot of damage that you have to put out, and with him being able to do counters, that's a relatively dangerous encounter. As you saw, Umaro went down from some of the counters, so just something to continue to be careful about as he proceeds here, just to see kind of how he approaches you know, managing his team and the um, their health as well as their defense, knowing that he's going to take some big hits and have some high scaled bosses coming up soon.
I think we are going to go ahead and go do the curse shield, by the way.
Yeah, if you're putting such a focus on levels, 10 fights isn't too many to get.
And also, since we're in a if we come across whatever we come across type thing, there's a decent chance I end up with a more complete tracker than you maybe typically find, and that's just a byproduct of the door randomizer and shuffled around and such.
One thing I really like about this big stick heavy offense is you just see how fast it is. You don't have to go through magic. You don't have to do the animations of even some of the fast spells. It's just hit, hit, hit.
Yeah, during the Warren Triads event where this flag set came from, I think the Doom's Rage flag set was probably 15 to 20 minutes faster on average, relative to the other flags for the Goddess and Poltergeist flags. So, not a big surprise, and a lot of it's driven by, just how strong some of the physical offense is.
We're probably not too happy to see this bug fight here. On the belt, we're hoping to get an encounter that ends with somebody showing up for us to feed some dried meat to, but they will not show up in an encounter with. It gets a little bit complicated, but I believe it's if there's 4 or more enemies or 3 of a kind, you're most likely not going to see it.
That's a good rule of thumb. I think I've told Golems like this before, but you need a master's in belt science. And technically, there are some larger fights where they can show up, but it's depending on what spot the enemies and formations occupy a certain spot that blocks Scout from appearing. But a good rule of thumb is if there's 3 or more, run away. If there's a pincer, run away. If there's a back attack, run away. Everything else is green, go, go, go.
Yeah, the goal is, or at least the hope here at this point, is to try to get Gal to, or the character that would be Gal in Vanilla to show up as quickly as possible here. So hopefully, with this crawler fight or soon thereafter, we see who this is.
Speaking of go, go, go.
That's about as many goes as you can get. So looks like we're going to see a lot of go quickly here.
I think Zone Eater is always up here. Let's go obviously go test that theory. Another random Umaro trivia fact, he is actually not very good at the Zone Eater fight.
Yeah, Umaro tends to just defeat Zone Eater in and of itself, so usually not a good idea to bring him along whenever you take this fight. It's also why he brought his character or his team down to 1 character here, is just to make this a little bit quicker so that Zone Eater only has to engulf 1 character.
What's the community Demi record at this point? Is it either using Engulf or Demi, and Engulf is what you want to see?
Some people have posted videos of them getting 30 plus. Some of those, like, there's technically some stuff that happens on the back end where he gets stuck in a loop. Typically, attacking him resets that loop and switches him back to the chance of engulf, but I'm sure if you manipulated some seeds one day somehow, you could get him up there to an infinite amount.
Yeah, some of that is just the tolerance of the people that were recording those videos, because it does get caught in a loop in certain situations. Again, that gets into some of the technical kind of back end of how Final Fantasy VI works. So very nice run through the smashing floor ceiling animation there.
You can't
being
be
able to
afraid
make
of the
it through.
bridge trolls. They're afraid of you.
Truer words have never been said. So there's a final Kefka unlock.
What do we think, Glue? Are we going straight for Kefka's Tower, or do we have some more to do?
Oh, we gotta go buy at least 3 more offerings, and then I think we're good to go.
Well, luckily you've got 2 places that sell them, so hopefully you remember at least one of them.
I think one was right here. It would be a shame if I'm wrong on this one, because it's the farthest away relic shop you could get to. Alright, we're good. And I still have not found sleeping bags, by the way. Probably should buy another elixir, so if those were here. Oh, speak of the devil.
Yeah, that's a nice little find right before going into Kefka's Tower, just to have the ability to heal your party, make sure they're full health when you go up against these statue fights that are impending.
Do want to check one thing. 23 checks and progress. Okay.
So one of the big things here will be just seeing how Glue decides to kind of organize his party to kind of best situate them for the fights coming up. It looks like sending the whole party down the right side with the intention of potentially maybe warping out after the poltergeist fight. Is that the plan? Is to just run this party the whole way through the Inferno, Guardian, and poltergeist fights?
Yes, indeed. And I'm down to, I think it was 3 spots I counted where Fanatics Tower could possibly be. So when I get out of this, I'm going to have 18 checks. Let me double check that. And I think it was, how many? 23?
Yeah, skip was 23.
Alright, take it all back. There's no way we can realistically get check skip.
Yeah, there are ways that he could opt to get check skip, but it would be going pretty far out of his way in terms of maybe doing something, going out and fighting a dragon that he wouldn't normally have access to based on the characters that he has or something along those lines. So it definitely makes sense to kind of take advantage of the party that's already kind of crafted here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Glue, you're probably in a pretty good spot. Especially with having the whole party going down that right path.
To be honest, I just assumed that Glue is going to have Umaro do each lane all by himself.
I mean, that's something that if you're ever interested to see how Glue approaches his solo Umaro seeds, those are definitely very entertaining, and they include a lot of
They include a
Umaro
lot of.
speaking all the paths.
Also include a lot of walking, unfortunately.
Well, if anyone can handle all those steps, it's probably Umaro.
Yeah, I would think that Umaro is pretty thick. He'll be able to handle all the work when it's going down those different paths.
Yeah, you can make this tower a bit faster by splitting your party into all 3 lanes right at the start, but having everyone go the right side all the way is going to be a lot safer, especially knowing that we've got some spice waiting for us at the end of it.
Yeah, right now, so glue is at, if I'm not mistaken, 6 characters, 9 espers, 3 dragons.
Hmm.
So he'll be at level 45 in terms of the bosses. There is a little bit of randomness to those boss levels, plus or minus a couple levels, so that if they're level 45, you can't just cast level 5 Doom and uh, you know defeat every boss by uh, basically math. But with that being said, you know there's some challenges to come here. So you're seeing Glue take a few extra fights, like the dragon fight here, just to make sure that he builds up enough experience on his teams to be able to take all the bosses, all the enemies that are coming up.
I think I'm at 4 dragons after this, so I'll look back through and get the skull dragon spot. Excuse me, the gold dragon spot. This is the skull dragon spot. But 5 dragons will give me auto image, which was another one of the perks of the Warring Triad / Doom Raids flag set. So nice little interesting recall to A B C D. Always be clobbering dragons.
And that auto image, does that refresh every tier of the final fight?
Yes, it does.
That's fantastic. One of the espers that we look for the final fight is Fenrir, which gives image to everybody in your party. So just getting that automatically is hugely beneficial. And it's great for, I mean, it even comes in handy in the first tier and the second tier.
Yeah, image is one of the abilities that kind of doesn't get a lot of play in terms of getting through the early tiers of Kefka, but you know even sometimes using image like Invis Edge or what is it, Shadow Edge, some of the schemes, but you could sometimes take advantage of that to actually get through a challenging Kefka fight, depending on who you have and what the characters look like. So just having the ability to have auto image here is definitely going to be a big benefit.
And it's just nice to know the world is a little bit safer having one less dragon in it.
Yeah, he's potentially leaving 3 out there, but I don't think anyone's going to blame him for taking care of the big boss Kefka here.
This is interesting. I never knew you could come back around for this from here.
Yeah, this is actually a good strategy to have if you're looking for a little bit of extra power. So you can basically take that group that goes down the right side that's fighting what would be the vanilla Inferno spot, and wrap them around to take the Gold Dragon fight here. Well, what would be the Gold Dragon fight. So this actually gives you the option to get an extra check if you're interested in it, if you're close to getting check skip potentially, and also just the additional power that comes with taking another dragon and the experience that comes with these fights, which all the dragons in Worlds Collide and in Final Fantasy VI in general give a large amount of experience, so they're almost always to your benefit to take that fight, even if it does increase the scaling a little bit, and doubly so with the auto image requirement being met.
Yeah, and we often have our strongest party go to the rightmost lane, even if we are splitting all of our parties up because they fight the most fights. So there's a good chance that even if there's only 2 or 3 people in that party, if anyone can take the dragons easily, it'll be them. And continuing the big stick energy, we did get that Illumina. I can't even keep track of all the sticks at this point, so I'm not sure if there's room for it on anyone at this point.
They're like kendo sticks in a wrestling match at this point. They just show up and then they get broken and they're done for.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody in the party has throw, or you might see some of the spare weapons get thrown at some of the bosses here at the end of the seed. So I know some of the Doom's Rage flag sets definitely encouraged you to maybe throw a Ragnarok or certain weapons that you might not otherwise throw because you just have so many of them. In this case, this is actually a very fortunate hide and fight, just to get the warp stone that comes out of the Haydn boss. So it's a nice little added benefit of getting this boss at this point.
We do, I believe, have, I think, Warp learned on Lock. But this is also a big chunk of experience.
I might have missed that, but again, that's a all the World of Ruin bosses actually have a large amount of experience, so definitely good to find those whenever they pop up.
And I probably have the record for wasting the most amount of time not realizing I had warp, so at this point I try to keep very close track of it.
Yeah, always a good idea. Apparently, you did that better than I did, because I didn't realize it. I thought he used his last warp stone a little bit ago. I didn't catch the warp spell.
Right, here's the first of our 3 statues. Is this the vanilla poltergeist spot?
It is. Unfortunately, Luminos don't work very well against him, and neither does health when you're muted.
Yeah, poltergeist I believe has a lot of physical defense. The Atma weapon can get through that bit, but this is a fight with a lot of HP and a lot of spice it's capable of.
Yeah, typically, some of the things you would hope to do against Poltergeist is to use the stop ability if you can, just because he is susceptible to stop. So if you ever have the option or the ability to do that, that's definitely something to look for. But in lieu of that, I think it's basically going to be continue to kind of swing away and do as much damage as possible and try to do more damage to him than he does to you.
And there's the crack pow on our spicy chicken.
Yeah, very well done. So now that Glue's finished the poltergeist fight here, you'll see him warp out and go to the other 2 sides. So I guess one of the things to look for here is how he decides to split his party. So he'll send probably 2 of his party members to fight the goddess location, and then the other 2 to fight the doom location.
Now, is that the boss that you would have liked to see with that party of 4? Is that poltergeist?
I would say so. Poltergeist is probably the scariest of the 3. You take him at face value. I would have probably been fine with any of the what people 1v1 say for Umaro, but it's never a guarantee, because the wrong stop blaster for a star you technically have to be able to absorb to be able to survive it at this point in the game. So a lot of things can still go wrong in that fight.
Yeah, definitely a few dangerous encounters that could pop up here, or different ways that the statue bosses can kind of cause problems. So just having one off the table and not have to worry about it is definitely a solid start here to the Kefka Tower.
Absolutely. Now, I know that the scaling on this goes up to level 50. How is Final Kefka's fight in this flag set? Is it unscaled or is it scaled?
It is unscaled, so it's the same as the vanilla game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why, to the comment earlier about the statues kind of being, one of the harder parts of this flag set, because it's unscaled. You kind of get what you expect to see from Final Kefka, and by the time you build up enough offense to take all the statues out, you pretty much are already set for Final Kefka itself. I guess the bigger thing becomes more of a how fast can you do it, more so than the amount of risk in the fight itself. So expect to see some pretty quick fights going towards the end of this seed here.
Yeah, with these statues being what they are, I kind of treat the final fight as more of a victory lap. A long victory lap that can go horribly wrong, but still probably a little bit less scary than the statues.
Yeah, definitely things that could go wrong. So you still have to pay attention, and Glue being one of the best in the community, he'll certainly know what to look for. But I think as we kind of wrap up, I think it's going to be more of the just making sure that the statue fights go well. So Goddess and Doom are still out there. We're not going to know until we get to the first one which order. So just kind of being prepared for both, making sure that we have everything that we need there, and then the final Kefka fight is going to be, again, just a pretty quick fight overall, just with the amount of offense, just the amount of swords that we have and offerings, everything else. So I think it will be a very exciting watch and a very quick watch.
Not to mention, we got the auto image to help with some of the worst things that can happen in the fight, as well as Siren to mute magic in the second phase. And speaking of Glue being such a good runner, not only is Glue a great runner, but Glue has been great for making other runners great in the community.
Yeah, Glue has definitely been one of the leads in our mentor program. Not to, I think one of the things that has been great recently in the community is the kind of start of the Moogle Cup, kind of our mentoring program for allowing some of the newer racers to actually get into a kind of a race setting with a little bit less pressure than maybe some of our normal tournaments and other things. And a lot of the credit, if not the vast majority of it, goes to Glue as one of the main organizers there. So certainly something that's very exciting, and really enjoy and appreciate Glue's kind of support in putting that together, and hope to kind of see that continue on moving forward here.
Yeah. And as somebody who joined the community just in time to miss the most recent Moogle Cup, even without the Moogle Cup, there's so much that this community offers in terms of mentoring that I was able to get off the ground just from how helpful everyone's managed to be. I mean, people will fall over themselves to help everyone else succeed.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the folks in the community have definitely been very excited to help out. So anybody that's interested in Worlds Collide, seeing some of the different things that we can do, some of the different flags that are available. This map randomizer is kind of some of the latest and greatest in terms of what's out there that's possible. So anybody that's interested, take a look into the Worlds Collide website, the Discord, a lot of different places to go kind of look into it, see if you're interested. If you want any help, you can always ask. And like Sarah said, a lot of people jump in to help you if you have any questions. So with that being said, it looks like we're just getting up to the Goddess fight, which is not Goddess but Doom.
This does mean that we're going to see the Umaro on Goddess. So hopefully we get that cross-screen throw.
Yeah, that is always exciting when you see, basically Umaro jump across the screen. What you're seeing here right now, the Doom fight. So once Doom loses a little bit less than half of his HP, he puts up a image status on himself. So right now it's really just allowing the offering Atma weapon to basically bypass that image status and do as much damage as possible. Looks like this will be short work of Doom. The biggest risk that could have happened would have been Northern Cross and just a little bit of time being frozen, but that was a non-issue in this case. So GG's, a very well done fight there by Glue.
Yeah, one of the less obvious powers of the offering is the 100% hit rate that it gives. So definitely a great fight to have that for.
Yeah, I suspect, if I'm not mistaken, he had Atma Weapon Offering kind of set up for both parties just in case that might happen, or at least knowing that it is a possibility to get Doom here. That's definitely a good thing, but also Goddess takes advantage of that as well, because the offering also avoids Love Token. So Love Token is another ability that kind of impacts your ability to take fights directly, and being able to kind of bypass Love Token, which basically your character who's impacted by Love Token would try to take physical attacks on behalf of Goddess. That's no longer an issue in this case because offering would negate that ability.
So if there was any doubt in your mind about Glue's choice to get so many offerings, trust me, it was a good choice.
Alright, moment of truth. Do we get a Mog jumping across the screen, pushing Locke into the final fight? Or excuse me, second to last final fight. There we go.
There we go. Alright, the run has been validated. Everything at this point is just for show. And I feel like these fights have shown me, and maybe it's just the options that you have access to, Glue, the Poltergeist fight really felt the most threatening of these.
Yeah, Poltergeist usually is. Poltergeist is kind of the hardest one of the three to neutralize. If you have a Thunder Shield on, or like even a Cat Hood, Minerva totally negates anything Goddess can do to you. Say for the odd chance you get a Water Spell. If you have a Snow Muffler on, you essentially can't die in the Doom fight unless you get frozen. But Poltergeist, there's a few more wrinkles that you have to be able to account for, and a few things account for everything in that situation.
Right, so we are officially through these statues.
Yeah, basically at this point, Glue's taking a little bit of time just to rearrange some of his equipment and just make sure that everybody's kind of full power right before going into the final Kefka. So kind of see kind of what comes up next year.
I think what's going to come up next is going to be a bit of a slaughter.
Yeah, I with the offense that Glue has in this situation, it's there's not going to be a lot of question about whether Glue's going to win, so much so as just how long is it going to take.
Absolutely. I mean, something can definitely happen. You know, we can always get that weird zombie on our offering user or something. And, you know, as commentators and the audience, we're going to be hoping for whatever gets in Glue's way the most. But I think overall it's going to be pretty safe. And we've got, it's now time for us to put in our guesses for how long we think it's going to take this final fight to take. So put your guesses into chat if you would like. We've got one guess for 9 minutes, 14 seconds.
Yeah, me personally, I think we're looking at something on the order of maybe 6 minutes, maybe a little bit less. Definitely with a lot of offense here, it's not going to take very long to get through this.
Yeah. Do you want to start us off telling us about the first phase before it dies?
So first phase here. So basically, there's 3 different parts here. The long arm, which is something that can be insta death. So if you have an insta death ability, you can actually take that out with that. Then there's the head, which is weak to fire, and also if it's the last element of this phase to die, it can cast Quake. So you really want to make sure that you focus on getting that out of the way. And then the last part that's going to be attacked here is going to be the short arm, the one that's closest to the middle of the screen here. The short arm has about 25,000 HP, and it's already gone. So
Yeah, I better expend second phase as fast as I possibly can since we don't got much time. But we really see that auto image paying dividends. Not only were the strong physical attacks from the first phase negated, um, but because there was no animation for them, due to the image status making them miss, it went even faster. Now we've got the conglomerate here, so we usually start this phase off with some kind of mute usage or instant death. Mute is going to take care of magic. The dude on the far left who likes to cast magic, that'll mute him and make him unable to do anything. We use instant death to take care of whatever's happening in the middle, usually, which just casts various sort of tool-based damage things. Nothing hugely threatening, but it's still something that if you can kill it instantly, you might as well. Probably the most threatening thing, especially if you're able to mute magic, is the tiger-looking thing, which is known as Tiger. That can do Northern Cross, which can freeze your party members. It can also do a zombie bite move, which can turn you into a zombie. And then the blue guy there is Hit, who hits and counters on death with 10 hits, which hits 10 times.
yeah, one kind of interesting tidbit there. As Glue was attacking Tiger, Tiger has about 30,000 HP. It does some of the zombie attacks and some of the other kind of more challenging abilities after about 18,000 damage has been applied. So the way that he did the shields and some of the attacks, he kind of bypassed any of the dangerous things by getting him down first and then letting Edgar do about 16,000 damage right away. That way he didn't have to worry about some of the more challenging things that might happen there. So we're seeing Quarter pop up here. That's actually one of the more dangerous things that could happen is Quarter. So it does cause a little bit of a problem whenever you have your party with lower HP going into the third tier. One of the things that on tier 3 can be an opener is the Merton spell. So there's two elements of tier 3. Is the lady up top basically has about 9,999 HP. You want to get that down first because it can cast Pearl Wind and heal the bottom, the man element here. What Glue's going to be doing here is just making sure that he can get that down as quickly as possible so that for the last 10,000 HP of his health, he'll actually counter any abilities with Medio or Train. And both Medio and Train present different problems for his party. Medio does about 1,300 damage or chance to cause 1,300 damage. And then Train could mute and put darkness on his party, which would make it harder for him to hit. Looks like Glue is opting to just push through this, not too worried with the image stash already applied. Normally you would want to put up some kind of calmness protection, which was a non-issue here because of the auto image.
Yeah, tier 3 definitely being a phase that can be either the easiest if you have all of the tools to get through it, or the hardest if you don't. But Glue expertly getting through that, and now we've got the final Kefka fight, as he will now be descending from the rafters. And Kefka will do on his first turn Fallen 1, which lowers everyone's HP to 1. If you're able to do enough damage in the beginning, you can actually bypass that completely.
Yeah, expect to see him to bypass, or good chance that he might bypass Fallen 1 here. Or maybe not.
Alright, Kefka's pulled out a copy of his own head and is charging Goner. But Kefka is going to be gone himself soon with all this damage coming through. And that's the crack pow.
Yeah, very well done. GG's.
So that looks like it was 5 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah, that was a very quick and very impressive final Kefka. And honestly, a lot of credit to Blue and how he configured his party and made sure that everybody kind of had the right offense for that. But it was very well done and a well run seed in general. Just a lot of the right routing and finding locations well, very efficient. It's
Yeah,
well
and
done.
knowing how to use that power that Blue got and when to use it, and yeah, getting everything set up. You can have all the options in the world, but you gotta know how to use them.
Yeah, I guess now that we're done here, I guess Glue, any thoughts on the seed and how everything went?
No, I was super excited to be able to display the entrance shuffler. It's not a full door endo yet. Maybe one day Dr. T will have that all done for us. But no, it's an interesting little wrinkle that we've had just come out. As you saw, you were walking into World of Balance door, and we're ending up in the Magitech factory. So just a cool little randomization to the randomizer that I particularly enjoyed. Overall, Doom's Rage was also one of my favorite flag sets. So being able to add that map randomizer to my favorite flag set just made for a fun experience. And yeah.
And you got Umaro. I feel like just about anything can happen to you, and you'll be happy with that Yeti.
I debated. I didn't get the Paladin shield unlocked because I didn't have enough battles left. I debated letting Umaro go into the tower with just solo in the final fight because with the Paladin shield and the auto image, there's a good chance he is able to get through that. But we'll never know for sure.
We all know in our hearts he could have done it, but he wanted to share the glory.
Absolutely, 100%. I could not agree more. But yeah, so again, that's Worlds Collide with our map shuffle showcase, and I hope Gamers Against Cancer looks very fondly as I did on that display of our beautiful game.
Yeah, thank you again, Glue, for kind of displaying the game, and again, for Gamers Against Cancer, which is a great cause, something that I think us in the World's Collide community are very excited to support. So, really looking forward to seeing some Worlds Collide at the marathon. Hopefully, this is one of the different runs that are kind of selected for that. With that being said, I think all of us have kind of had our turn at this, but Glue, is there maybe anything that you want to kind of mention, in terms of why this means so much to you to kind of have a opportunity to kind of run at the marathon, and your just thoughts in general as far as the cause and what's going on here?
No, cancer is one of those unfortunate things that touches us either directly or indirectly. Various people in my life it has impacted. So it's cool. Like in Major League Baseball, you see Stand Up to Cancer. I think in the NFL, you used to have Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you see large organizations doing, donating to terrible causes with their hobbies and their loves. So it's the coolest thing in the world to me that communities like this exist and organizations like this exist, and they can come together and do things like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to also give a special thank you to anybody who had tuned in and watched these Umaro related shenanigans. But also thank you to Golden Shocker and Ceres for being commentary while I did these shenanigans. I appreciate y'all very much for doing so.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
absolutely.
It's fun even when it's not for anything, but for such a good cause, it's even better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, and with that, I will sign us off. But let's go pay somebody a visit with all these lovely people and see who is active in. Well, this is an easy decision because only Jex Rock is currently screaming. So let's go pay Jexy a visit before we go to bed tonight. All right, and again, thank you anybody that tuned in, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, take care, everyone.
All right, good night, everybody.